Jeanne was born in Saint-Germain-en-Laye, France, in the year 1528, into the royal family of Henry II of Albret, King of Navarre, and Marguerite of Navarre. Her mother, Marguerite, sister of King Francis I of France, was a celebrated writer and humanist, a patron of Protestant reformers, though she remained formally Catholic. Her father, Henry of Albret, ruled the small kingdom of Lower Navarre in southern France and tried to preserve its independence. From an early age, Jeanne was raised at the French royal court. At the will of her uncle Francis I, she grew up away from her parents, under the supervision of a court-appointed governess. Despite this, Jeanne developed a deep attachment to her mother. Contemporaries noted her admiration for Marguerite's piety, intelligence, and kindness. According to her governess's memoirs, Jeanne's reverence for her mother became one of her defining traits. Her father, though he saw her less often, also influenced her. Jeanne inherited her independent spirit from him. Henry of Albret disliked the subordinate position of his court under the French crown, but tolerated it for Navarre's safety. From an early age, Jeanne displayed a sharp mind and a strong will. She was educated by the finest tutors of the day, including the humanist Nicolas Bourbon, invited to the court of Francis I. The princess received an excellent education and embraced reformist ideas that her mother supported. Even as a teenager, Jeanne was known for her firmness and her habit of speaking her mind, even when it clashed with the wishes of the royal family. One of the most dramatic episodes in her life was her forced marriage at a young age. In the year 1541, King Francis I of France, pursuing dynastic and political goals, decided to marry his 12-year-old niece to 25-year-old Duke William of Cleves. The marriage was meant to strengthen France's alliance with the House of Cleves against Emperor Charles V. Neither Jeanne nor her parents supported the match. Henry of Navarre and Marguerite tried to protest the unequal engagement, but they had no power to oppose the French king's will. Jeanne, proud and headstrong, openly resisted the forced marriage. She sent an official declaration of protest, stating that the agreement with the Duke of Cleves was made under coercion and against her will, and that any further words or actions from her would be spoken only out of fear of the king and her parents. Her first meeting with the groom became a scandal. When the Duke of Cleves arrived at court, Jeanne boldly refused him in public, in front of her uncle, the king. This enraged Francis I. Eyewitnesses report that the furious king ordered his disobedient niece to be whipped. Jeanne later wrote that her mother threatened to hand her over to the governess for punishment if she did not obey the king. Whether this punishment actually happened or was only threatened is uncertain. But one thing is clear: the princess's resistance was broken by force. In June of the same year, at Château de Châtellerault, the wedding ceremony took place. Despite the bride's tears and protests, on the 13th of June, Jeanne was betrothed to William of Cleves, and the next day the marriage was solemnized. According to legend, when the bride refused to walk to the altar, she was physically carried by Constable Anne de Montmorency. Witnesses said that Jeanne struggled and resisted until the very last moment, making it unlikely that her hesitation was due merely to a heavy dress. After the lavish but purely ceremonial wedding, the young princess was not sent to live with her husband. At the insistence of Marguerite of Navarre, 13-year-old Jeanne remained with her mother until she reached physical maturity. Over the following years, Marguerite continued to plead with her brother the king to annul the unfortunate marriage, offering various excuses for why her daughter had not joined her husband. Duke William soon lost interest in the alliance. After changing political course and reconciling with the emperor, he no longer needed French ties. In the year 1545, the Pope, at the request of the French court, officially annulled Jeanne's marriage to Cleves on the grounds that it had not been consummated and was arranged against the bride's will. After the annulment of her first marriage, new suitors were proposed for the Princess of Navarre. Jeanne had gained a reputation as a proud and independent woman and rejected several candidates. Only several years later, after the death of Francis I, did she agree to a match that offered both political benefit and personal affection. In October of the year 1548, 20-year-old Jeanne married Antoine de Bourbon, Duke of Vendôme. Antoine belonged to a junior branch of the French royal house of Bourbon. This marriage was intended to strengthen ties between Navarre and one of France's most prominent noble families. At the same time, contemporaries noted that the bride and groom genuinely fell in love, and their union was a happy one, at least at first. In the year 1553, Jeanne and Antoine had a son, Henri, and later a daughter, Catherine. These two were the only children of 5 to survive into adulthood. Upon the death of Henry II of Albret in the year 1555, Jeanne inherited the title Queen of Navarre. She and her husband jointly ascended the Navarrese throne, although much of the kingdom's territory remained under Spanish control. Their early reign was relatively peaceful. The royal couple settled in Béarn, focusing on governance, while Jeanne continued supporting the Protestant reform movement, honoring her mother's humanist legacy. However, domestic peace did not last. Antoine de Bourbon proved to be weak-willed and unfaithful. Chroniclers mention his numerous affairs. The couple's differences deepened with the outbreak of the French Wars of Religion between Catholics and Protestants, Huguenots, beginning in the year 1562. Jeanne had already officially embraced Calvinism in the year 1560 and declared Reformed Christianity the official religion of her territories, effectively banning Catholic rites. Her husband Antoine remained Catholic and joined the Catholic faction. During the conflict, he even attempted to seize control from Jeanne. Reports say that in alliance with Catholic leaders, he planned to capture her and confine her to a convent to prevent further Protestant involvement. Nevertheless, Queen Jeanne managed to escape to her ancestral lands and avoid imprisonment. In the year 1562, Antoine de Bourbon died from wounds sustained during the siege of Rouen. He was fighting on the Catholic royalist side. After his death, Jeanne became sole ruler of Navarre and regent for her young son. As a widow, Jeanne d'Albret devoted herself both to ruling her small kingdom and to protecting French Protestants. Thanks to her efforts, Navarre and Béarn became a refuge for Huguenots persecuted elsewhere. The Queen openly supported the Reformation. She welcomed renowned preachers to her court, founded Protestant schools, and personally financed the publication of religious texts. It's no surprise that she soon became the spiritual and political leader of the Huguenot camp in France. She was called head of the Huguenot party. Jeanne of Navarre had effectively become the figurehead of the Protestant resistance during the civil wars. Although during the first 2 religious wars, early 1560s, Jeanne tried to remain neutral. The conflict intensified by the mid-1560s. During the Third War of Religion, 1568 to 1570, she firmly sided with the Huguenots. In the year 1567, the Queen personally oversaw the defense of the Protestant city of La Rochelle against royal troops, proving herself a capable leader and an inspiration to her followers. She not only provided financial and political support to fellow believers, but also served as a kind of minister of propaganda, issuing proclamations and keeping morale high. Jeanne also took part in diplomacy. Twice, in the years 1563 and 1570, she helped broker peace treaties that temporarily ended the bloodshed. Realizing that lasting peace required compromise, Jeanne made a difficult decision. After much hesitation, she agreed to marry her son, Prince Henry of Navarre, the main Protestant heir, to Catholic Princess Marguerite de Valois, daughter of Queen Mother Catherine de' Medici. This dynastic union was meant to cement the Peace of Saint-Germain in the year 1570 and reconcile the warring factions. The marriage negotiations were tense. Jeanne feared for her son's safety at the French court. In the end, she traveled to Paris herself in the spring of 1572 to oversee preparations for the wedding. Sadly, Jeanne d'Albret did not live to see her son's wedding. In early June of the year 1572, while in Paris, the 43-year-old queen died unexpectedly. The official cause of death was a sudden illness, possibly tuberculosis. Rumors circulated that she had been poisoned by order of Catherine de' Medici, who resented the powerful Protestant queen. However, no evidence has ever confirmed this, and modern historians believe her death was natural. Her health had been strained by years of stress and hardship. Jeanne of Navarre was buried beside her husband in Vendôme. Her son Henry inherited the crown of Navarre as Henry III, and soon became leader of the Protestant party. Years later, the religious wars resumed and continued until Henry ascended the French throne as Henry IV, becoming the first Bourbon king of France. It was he who issued the Edict of Nantes in the year 1598, granting religious freedom to Huguenots, thereby fulfilling in part the ideals for which his mother had fought. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.